person for the site selection process of this project. So, just a backgrounder, if you remember after Odette, nga ito mga igsuon na BAJAU nagkanat sa Dayan dito sa may Kalanipa because they could not go back to where they used to stay, which is in Bilang-Bilang Bay. Then we were actually at a loss on how to go about relocating them, considering that the cultural aspect of the Sama BAJAU community is they really thrive and live on the sea. Diba? It's supposed to be a no-build zone for those areas which are underwater. But you have to take into consideration the cultural aspect of these people. Then, in our Country Homes project, UN, IOM came in as part of the Odette response and rehabilitation effort. Then the mayor decided to request UN, IOM to probably look into also the plight of the BAJAU for possible housing assistance. Then after that, the UN sent the UN Habitat because it turned out the UN Habitat now would be the one that will handle the recovery phase after the disaster. So just like in Marawi, after the siege, they have the rehab component. Then later on the recovery phase, it is the UN Habitat that came in. So UN Habitat came in as part of they have a bigger project, which is a blue-green, it's a long title, blue-green circular economy project something. And one of the component is the Hoyanan and BAJAU. In the overall site selection process, we looked into how to go about placing them. Then there was, we looked into our old plans. There is such a thing as a DNR Eco Village in portion of Lot 7298 in Sitio Panabigo. This is covered by a Department Administrative Order of DNR 99-42, designating that area, actually not only in Surigao City but the whole Caraga region, designating certain areas of the public forest domain, because that is a timberland area, forest public domain, for co-management and settlement of DNR Employees Association. But since 1999, this was never developed because according to DNR Senate, we do not have the capacity to develop the area. So they offered a cooperation agreement with the city, initial discussion with DNR, whether the city could develop 50%, they could cooperate. And that is some sort of the catalyst which opens up the possibility of putting the BAJAU in a still underwater area and where we can put in a legal tenurial instrument. Kaya kung dito sa bilang-bilang, waya man dagat, even the DNR will not issue anything. But diha, that is a cove area, some are issued with fish and lease agreements, some are for sure lease. Pwede, because it is part of the Surigao cadastre. So this is how this project came about. Then UN Habitat, in cooperation with the other agencies, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development, undertaken the social preparation of our BAJAU people in Sama BAJAU tribe. They organize them. We go into beneficiary selection process. Mas madugoy ni very tedious because from I think 65 plus structures before Odette and about 170 families. When you ask for the list afterwards, lain-lain, may lista from the barangay, 170. Nag-conduct ng UN ang ila structure tagging. They have a lower number. Pagka-joining mo sa association, mapakasalan more than 200 na sa so then we have to cross-match. The UN has to cross-match and later on came up with sino na ito datun dyan diya. Then we even have an agreement with the Sama BAJAU tribe na di na ito ka mo mang-imbitar. Kaya it may be a case that we are providing them with housing and basic mo hamok. But what is good about this project is this is not just the housing component. Muna tagtawag ng Hoyanan because in Surigao nun, kung housing, bayay ra siya. Diba? If you talk about Hoyanan, it talks a lot of text. There is the livelihood component. Kaya maghuya ka. It's a home. It's a settlement. That's where you settle. Kung bayay-bayay ra, that's the physical structure. Because the project is envisioned not just as a housing component, but developed that as a settlement. where the BAJAU could live in accordance with their culture, in accordance with their livelihood. Primary livelihood nila is actually fishing. They could also come up with aquaculture within the area. Okay, to begin man. They could also be the stewards of the mangrove forest. There is sparse mangrove forest, but our proposal with the DNR is once we have the settlements there, we are going to reforest that. Because the mangroves will be the primary protection. That's the natural protection against inclement weather. Then that's how the project came about. The UN came up with the initial funds. They are going to build initially, I think, 40 housing components. So, lower down into 30 housing components because of the cost. Kay, ang amo agreement with those technical design is permanente ang poste. Because after Odette, our experience is dahil ang mga poste, naguba mo tanan. Down sila sa dayan. But if we could come up with a livable structure na more or less sustainable, na permanent ang poste, kung muguba man ng bayay, they could always come back with their tarps or whatever material na makabalik lagapon sila. Dili sila maglatagaw sa kilid ng kadayanan. Then, part of the social preparation component is the capacity building. There are a selection of young adults sa ila that is going to be trained for basic carpentry and masonry in cooperation with TESDA. Kaya uno man, sila mismo ang panday ng ilabayay. But not on a voluntary basis, but they are going to be paid by UN, and probably I think a portion of that will be from DOLE. This is some sort of a work for cash or cash for work program. But the component is sila naghimo sa ilabayay. So this is a whole package. This is just the first phase. Second phase will be the rollout of the other housing units to accommodate the 170 families. But now we will just start with the 30. And later on, the DNR eco-village component. So, okay na, we did the initial ritual because that is how the BAJAU would usually do in accordance with their culture before they're going to settle in a certain area. They have some sort of an offering. And of course, the traditional groundbreaking and capsule laying ceremonies. So, that's it. And si Engineer Joel with the City and Joe is our partner also with applying for the appropriate permits for the ECC and so on. We actually forwarded already our application for a gratuitous special use permit with the DNR. And we also have forwarded also our proposal for the draft memorandum of agreement with the DNR. It's now being reviewed by the central office, and the Sangguniang Panlungsod has issued the corresponding resolutions authorizing the mayor for this purpose. So,